morning, Riverbend Church family. I hope you're having an amazing morning so far, wherever it is that you're watching from. And we just thank you for inviting us into your home, into your living room, into your dining room, into your bedroom, into your bathroom, wherever you're watching us from this morning. We thank you for letting us into your home. As you may know, today is Palm Sunday, which means that next Sunday is Easter. And we have an amazing online experience prepared for you for next Sunday. And this week, we have a ton of different events that are scheduled for you to watch and participate in online. In addition to that, we have our regular shows that happen Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Our Friday night show is going to be canceled just because of our Good Friday service that we have 7:30 p.m. Here at the church that will be streamed to all of you live. So we hope that you join us for all of those events. As a community groups pastor, I want to make a personal invitation to you. If you are not connected to the church in any way, shape, or form other than streaming on Sunday morning, I would like to encourage you to go to our website, riverbend.com, click on the Connect tab, and go to community groups. There's a list of all the pastors and all the different groups and a form at the bottom that you can fill out. Each one of our community groups is hosting multiple online community gatherings through video conferences and other mediums that are all designed to help you stay connected to your church and your faith and your family through these really strange times. So I'd love it if you went over there and did that if you're not plugged into anything other than Sunday morning. So if you're watching from home, and you're watching with your family, or you're watching alone, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or our app or our website, we just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for watching Riverbend online.
But he brought me, oh, his love, oh, his love, oh, the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am.
Sing it with us.
Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
I'm so thankful this morning that we are His children, and in the midst of this trial we find ourselves in as a world right now, I hope that you will realize that He loves you, He cares for you. We are His children, and I know He promises that He'll never forsake us or give us more than we can bear. So keep hanging on to that. We can do that because of what He did on the cross for us 2,000 years ago, a little over that now. But Christ paid it all when He went to the cross and gave His life for each and every one of us. So I want us to sing about that this morning together as we sing this great hymn of our faith, Jesus Paid It All. Sing it now. I hear the Savior say, thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all in all. Sing it. Jesus paid it all to Him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, He washed it white as snow. The Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat, singing, Jesus paid it all. All to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. Sin had left a crimson. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. He washed it white as snow. He washed it white as snow. Oh, praise the one, sing it now. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the singing. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Sing the chorus with me. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. I'm so thankful this morning that Jesus paid that debt for all of us, all of you that are listening today. He paid that debt, and he promises he'll be very near us. And I don't know about you, but right now that's been very special to me to remember the scriptures that my mom and dad taught me. And many of you grew up in church, some of you didn't. But if you didn't, rest assured you can find comfort, you can find help in God's word. And you can learn to rely on him more than ever during these really struggling times that we have right now for the whole world. We're trying to figure it all out week to week. Day to day, we don't know what to do. But we thank you today for tuning in to our live stream here from Riverbend Church. We hope that what we're doing musically and message-wise is helping you during this tough time. And so we pray that you would just continue to watch and watch the different programs we have during the week. We're trying to offer you help and hope and home during this time. So would you pray with me before we continue the service today? God, I thank you so much for the price you paid on the cross for all of us. And God, because you paid that price, we can be free. We can live with you not only on this life, an abundant life, but eternally with you in heaven. And God, I pray you would continue to bring hope to all that are listening today, God, that you would speak to their hearts and bring them peace. In your name, amen.
Lord, you ain't been with me. Help me to believe that when my heart is heavy as a stone, you say I'm not alone. Man of sorrow, what a for our suffering, sinners to reclaim, overcame the darkness, and walked out of the grave. Lord, you're aching with me. Help me to believe that when my soul's lost in the storm, you're acquainted with grief. Oh, end of sorrow. What a for our for all of our pain, end of sorrow, broken sinners to reclaim, overcame the darkness, walked out of the grave. Was pierced for our transgressions, was crushed for all our sins, and the punishment that brought us was laid on him. He was stricken and afflicted, but God's mercy would reveal what his suffering would bring us, like his wounds would heal. End of sorrow. What a pain. Bore our suffering, bore all of our pain, end of sorrow, broken sinners to reclaim, overcame the darkness, and walked out of you overcame my darkness, when you walked out of the grave.
Good morning, Riverbend. We have the video? Good morning, Riverbend. It's good to see you this morning. I think hopefully you saw a video. If you haven't seen a video, then we're going to try to roll this video right now. Going to be rolling now? Oh, very good. Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties. We're running live, so thanks for being here with us this morning. Hopefully you're seeing some B-roll right now. of some video of some partners, and maybe even heard from Pastor Abraham. And this morning, I want to share with you a few things about partnerships that we have in our community. For me, it kind of reminds me a little bit. I've been married for almost 22 years. My wife, Emily, and I have been married for 22 years, raising kids, living life together, helping each other, and I really believe we're better together. And I think the same thing for our partnerships. We have partnerships with East Austin, with my friend Pastor Abraham, with South Austin, with Pastor Stanley, with Community First, with our friends in El Salvador and Mexico, all over the place. All over the world, actually, we have partnerships. And all these partnerships are helping people right now. They're helping people eat, helping people emotionally with the struggles they have. And you're seeing some B-roll of what we've been doing out in the community. It's been incredibly impactful. It's been really, really amazing. And you're a part of that. We're doing this together. You really are. And I want to take some time and just thank you for what you're doing. Some of you may be out in the field, you may be doing some of these things. Some of you can't do that. Maybe you're at home and you're praying for these people, or maybe you're commenting on some of our live shows and staying connected. That's all very, very important. So for you, I want to continue to encourage you to support Riverbend and all it's doing, because it's making a difference. And you're part of that too. If you have a chance, you can go to our website, and you can go to our give page, and there's an easy way to give online.
When we
support
face
Riverbend.
challenges like we have
there's
right
lots
now,
of things to do that we're
lately,
doing as a church to help
it's
people,
tough
whether it's this
on people because
live
they all
show
have
where you're
different
feeling
needs,
connected
they all
to
have
each
different
other,
backgrounds,
feeling connected to God,
and sometimes
or feeding
we're
hungry
so used
people
to
out
being
in the world.
isolated.
So thank you for your support. Here's some more video for you guys to see.
Hundreds
Hundreds.
of people outside right now, and they're coming to the church in a different way. We're giving them a Bible, we're giving them a little book, we're sharing with them other resources besides food, and I think just God is used in different ways, and I think this thing that may prolong for a month, I don't know,
Maybe longer.
maybe longer.
Yeah.
We don't know how it's going to be, but we need all the help we can get to be better equipped to help these people.
My name is Pablo. I'm one of the missionaries at Community First Village, local Riverbend Church. These are my friends Barb and Sunshine over here, that are neighbors that, we're just kind of loving on each other, caring for each other, and just living in a community with each other. It's beautiful. It really is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's been rough. We're under quarantine.
No guests allowed in our property, but
Yeah.
we're doing it right.
Yeah. We're doing our best to take care of our neighbors, get into the pantry, just trying to keep everybody connected and trying to keep everybody together and loved and cared for. So it's been different. We're providing one meal a day, maybe 2 meals a day at the village, and we're cooking for everybody there and making lunches and maybe some dinners. But this as well is essential because everybody needs more than one meal a day. So those that want to come out, we come out and just drive them out here, and Riverbend helps us with whatever we need, which has been a blessing for a lot of the guys. So.
I foresee that
I have a maker. He formed my heart before even time began. My life was in your hand. He knows my name. He knows my every thought. He sees each tear that falls, and he hears me when I call.
He knows my name. He knows my name. Didn't Tommy Walker perform that here with our choir a number of
He did
years
several
ago?
years ago at the
The writer
worship
of that
conference.
song. He knows
Told
my
the
name.
story.
He knows my every thought.
Yes.
He sees each tear that falls and hears me when I call. So how you doing today? How you doing, Melanie, Cliff, Nicole? How you doing? Yeah, you, Scott and Heather, Joe and Dory and Sam and Lolly and Tommy Joe, Kevin and Carolyn, Matt and Lauren, and James and Gabe and Willa. How you doing? How you holding up? Alyssa, Tina, Shelley, Ashley, Beverly, Anita, Sandy, Sydney, how you doing? Seriously, how you doing today? How you holding up? Because I know this is unprecedented. This is unusual for all of us. This is Easter week. This is our Super Bowl. This is what I look forward to every year, and it looks like next Sunday we'll be here. We have a good week planned. We have a lot of things going on. We have projects that everybody can contribute. We're going to create photo albums online. We have things going on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to have a Good Friday service online from our chapel, 7:30 on Friday night, and we're going to take communion together. Even though we're in separate places, we're going to come together to take communion around the world. So we want you to get the elements ready for that for Friday evening. And then on Sunday, we'll be back here, Easter Sunday. I miss you. I miss seeing you here. That's my favorite Sunday of the year. But we'll be connected. So hopefully you'll invite us in Sunday at 10 o'clock. Because I don't know about you, but I've never seen anything like this. This is unprecedented. And my observation is that I'm seeing some really good things. I'm seeing people come together. I'm seeing people care about each other. I'm seeing people serve. We're contacted every day. People saying, how can I help? What can I do? And that's powerful, that the best of us is coming out in the worst of times. But I'm also seeing a lot of fear and anxiety and a struggle. And I'm seeing what looks like grief. We seem to be struggling with the stages of grief and the denial and the bargaining that goes on during that. And it's getting harder as time goes on. But I'm amazed by the ferocity of your determination and by the numbers of people that are speaking words of hope and encouragement, that everybody out there is saying, you can do this. Stay home, stay safe, stay strong, stay sanitized. Keep your social distance. Honor the least among us, the weakest and the most vulnerable. These are good things. These are good things for us to be doing, and everyone is saying, we'll get through this. This too shall pass. We will be together, and there will be a better day. And these are good things. And I don't want to just add to that applause or that affirmation, but today I want us to remember a hope that is unique to those of us who are men and women of faith. And I want us to remember that one thing that is an important part of this season, that in times like these is worth holding on to. But before we talk about that, would you pray with me for a moment? Father in heaven, I would ask that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart would be pleasing in your sight, and that you would use your word spoken by your servant, anointed by your Spirit, to guide us and to direct us and to strengthen us in uncertain and unknown days. May we know that as long as we are known, we need not fear the unknown. Pray that for myself and for my family and for everyone who is connected together today. For we ask this in Jesus' name, amen. He was a usual man. And by usual, I mean he was average, he was common, he was ordinary, he was typical. He wasn't too tall and he wasn't too short. He wasn't too fat, and he wasn't too thin. He had an average appearance. He was an average man. It meant that when you saw him, you didn't go, "Oh my, that's a handsome fella," and you didn't go, "Ooh, what, did someone drop you on your face?" He was completely average looking, average in his appearance. He wasn't too tall and he wasn't too short. He had an average personality. He was one of those people who you may have met and they've been pleasant enough and nice enough, but a week later you couldn't remember their story or their name because he was just so common, so average. He had no talents that described him. He wasn't introduced as the artist or the musician or the teacher or the lawyer or the doctor or even the truck driver. He had nothing that kind of set him apart. He was absolutely, completely average, completely usual. Now, he had two sisters, and for better or for worse, that can create a bit of an unusual experience when you grow up in a house dominated by women. Trust me, I know that can make for some unusual things, but that wasn't that untypical. It's really not that untypical. I'm very familiar with it. Ask Ethan and Jack Jones if they're familiar with what it's like to grow up in a house full of women. It happens all the time. That's not that unusual. Although his two sisters undoubtedly were, in charge of his life and mothered him to death. That's what happens when you have a baby brother. It's what happens when the house is dominated by women, especially when his mother died. His sisters took over as his maternal influence, and that was amplified when their father died as well. You see, when his father died, he left his sisters without husbands. They lived in a time in a small town where marriages were arranged. They didn't leave these things to chance or to romance. Don't shoot the messenger. But if you were a young woman in that village at that time, it was the father's responsibility to find you a husband. And for whatever reason, he hadn't gotten around to it or arrangements hadn't been made. And so when he died, they were doomed to a life without a husband, without children. And so these three orphan young adults lived together in the home that their family had left them. At least they had a home. And it was a home that was large enough for them to actually cobble together a living as kind of an Airbnb, as a VRBO, as a place where travelers could come. They were situated on a main highway, and the custom of the day is not that unfamiliar to us. The travelers would look for places to stay, and if you had a home that had extra rooms, you could earn income by renting out your room. You could also add to the experiences of your life because there were itinerant musicians and poets and storytellers and philosophers and teachers who basically couch surfed their way through the countryside, telling stories and performing music and doing their art. It was the cable television of the day. It's not that unusual. I'm sure that many of you have opened your homes, as my family has done, to those artists and those people who didn't have a place to stay for a while. I remember two young men just finished college. They were both named Shane, and they were trying to start a career in music, and on many occasions they slept on our couches in our house. In fact, they wrote a song at our kitchen table, and to this day my family refers to their song as the kitchen table song. That's not what they call it, but every time we hear it, it was a song we remember them writing. And that added to the experience of this average family, of these three orphan young adults living in this small town. To have these travelers and teachers and poets and musicians and scholars into their home. It was how they met. This one young teacher, he was a revolutionary, he was a radical. He was their age. And he was from a small town, just like they were. And he had lost his father as well. But the father that he talked about was not his biological father. He made these radical statements about his Father in heaven. And he referred to him in intimate terms. And this was not average. This was not usual. This was not typical at all. And they became fond of this young revolutionary, this young radical teacher, and they became followers of his. And over time, they considered him to be a close family friend. Obviously, if you're paying attention, you understand that this is not a fictional story. This is the story of a young Galilean rabbi from Israel who had a father named Joseph who died, and who traveled throughout the countryside teaching a revolutionary new message about his Father in heaven. His name was Yeshua bar Joseph, or Jesus of Nazareth. And that young man, that average, typical man, was a man named Lazarus of Bethany. And his two sisters were named Martha and Mary. And except for their appearance in this story about the life of Jesus, this man named Lazarus would have disappeared as an average person, as one of the billions of people who disappears into the folds of human history, whose mark is only made at his own arm's length, and a generation or two later, no one would remember him. But we remember Lazarus and his sister Martha and Mary, because they were friends with this young Galilean rabbi named Jesus. It tells us in the story that John records of Jesus of Nazareth in the Gospel of John in the 11th chapter that this young man named Lazarus had become terminally ill, very, very ill. And his sisters sent word to their young rabbi friend that your friend, the one you love, Lazarus, is very sick. That came with an expectation. That message came with an expectation that when you hear about this, you will show up, because they knew he could fix him. They knew he had miraculous capacity to heal their brother. So when they said, this one you love is sick, the expectation was, you'll get here right away. But he didn't. By the time Jesus showed up in the village of Bethany, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Before he could even reach the village of Bethany, Martha ran out of their home, out of the village, and encountered Jesus on the road to Bethany. And she confronted him with the statement, the same thing that Mary would say to him in just a few moments. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And that's both a complaint and a confession. It's a confession of, Lord, if you had been here, I know you could have saved him. You could have healed him. You could have fixed this. It was a confession of her confidence, of their belief in his ability, but it was also a critique. Lord, if you had been here, this wouldn't be happening. You could have made a difference. Why didn't you? It says that when Mary finally came to Jesus and said that to him, his heart ached. Says that he was deeply moved in his spirit, and he was troubled as he saw the people, the friends of their family, the friends of these 3 orphan young adults who were weeping over the loss of Lazarus. And his heart was broken, and he was empathic in his response, and he asked them to take him to him. And they brought him to the tomb where Lazarus had been placed. And the tomb there in Bethany was a cave. This was common in that region of Judea. There were many caves, and I'm sure that outside or even within the village of Bethany, there were caves that had been used for generations perhaps for centuries, as sepulchres. That when people died, they didn't dig a hole and have dirt thrown on them. They embalmed them and wrapped them in strips of cloth and placed them deep into a cave where their ancestors had been buried perhaps generations before. And this sepulcher, this mausoleum, this cemetery in Bethany had a stone that was fashioned so that it could be moved and removed as bodies needed to be placed in. Yet it would protect the bodies that had been placed from critters or from vandals or from thieves from getting to the bodies. It also protected the village from the aroma of the decaying flesh. When Jesus came to that tomb, it says he was still very emotional. And he told them to take away the stone. Martha, the type A sister, said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Lord, I'm not sure you want to do that. He's been in there for 4 days. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but he's not going to smell very good. He's going to be ripe by now. And while she respected him and honored him, she addressed him the same way that we do, like now. It's kind of like, don't you know what happened here? Don't you know that I haven't been out of my apartment in 3 weeks? Don't you know that I'm doing what is best for my community and for my country and for humanity by isolating myself? But God, hey, if you were here, we wouldn't be here. So where were you? Where are you? And so laced into that response of the bad odor and you don't want to remove that stone was a common, average, typical, usual critique. Lord, you can make this better. Why don't you? It's been 4 days. In all of these passive-aggressive complaints, Jesus never condemns them. You see, I think we have to give ourselves room to lament and to grieve and even to be anxious and to be worried and to be afraid. We have to be honest about those things. God is not mocked. When we say, what are you doing? Where were you? Where are you? These are normal expressions of our concern. We're searching for our faith. We don't need to apologize for this. And not in any of these circumstances does Jesus respond to Martha or to Mary or to those who are concerned with criticism, because he knows what he's doing. And when they moved the stone away, he began to pray. And it was an unusual prayer. In fact, all of Jesus' prayers were unusual because he was basically talking to himself. He says, Father, I thank you that you heard me, that you hear me. And then he goes on to say publicly, I know you always hear me. How can you not hear me? You and I are one. We're the same, but I'm praying, I'm doing all of this so that anyone who is in a situation where they are on this side of the stone, where they are on this side of the trouble, where they are in the midst of the quarantine, when they are feeling the weight of the isolation and the weight of the weight, I'm saying this so that they will know that you have a plan and that you are here. And then he says, Lazarus, come forth, come out. Cried out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. And it tells us in a scene that requires more explanation. How did he walk if he was bound in strips of cloth from his head to his feet? Did his body bear the marks of the decay of 4 days of death? Did the bandages sort of look look like a mummy, or were they loosely wrapped, or how did he find his way out? Or there's so many questions. What was going through Lazarus' mind? How was he like just kind of walking out as if that was to be expected? This was the most unusual event in human history. We need more data, but all we get is when he came out, Jesus said, "Take the strips of cloth off his hands and his head and set him free. Let him go." And with that, the average man, the man about whom we know nothing other than the story that brought him to this point, this average common man was usual no more. For the rest of his life, in fact, for the rest of human history, this man named Lazarus would be known as the one who was raised from the dead after 4 days. He didn't have a near-death experience. He had a total death experience. He was fully dead. He was 4 days in the grave. And for the rest of his life and for the rest of human history, he would be known as the one who cheated death, who came out of the grave, the one who defeated death, brought to life. Now, it's easy for us to think, I don't have anything in common with Lazarus, with that Lazarus. I am, if I have anything in common with Lazarus, it's that I am average, I am common, I am usual, I am typical. There are very few things that are remarkable about me. In these days, you may come to terms with how unremarkable you really are. And that may be a struggle. But it's in that we find out that we not only have something in common with Lazarus, we have everything in common with him. Because if there's one thing that we are realizing right now in our world at this moment, is how fragile everything is. How vulnerable we are, how frail our existence is, and all of those things to which we assign our significance and our identity, all of those things that give us our value can be stripped away in a moment. That we, like Lazarus, dead and in the tomb, are isolated from all of the relationships and all of the activities and all of the things that we typically identify as giving us value. And he knew that, just like we know that. We have everything in common with Lazarus. But the thing that we have most in common with him is the one thing that even the grave cannot strip us of. The thing that we have in common with Lazarus is the thing that is so easy to overlook. It's so easy to walk right by in the story of a man raised from the dead after 4 days in the grave. It was that he called him by name. That he stood at the tomb and cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus." Now, there are theologians who say, well, you know, the reality is, if Jesus had just called the dead forth, it would have been zombie apocalypse. There would have been generations of dead people. Is he talking to me? He wasn't a White Walker, for crying out loud. He was raising one person from the dead, and that person knew who he was talking to. But he called him by name because he knew his name. Because he knew his name. Just like he knows your name and he knows my name. And when we are known, we are never alone. And because He knows our name, we are never without hope. Realize that there's a part of this that is so familiar to us, it becomes meaningless. But in a world where we are known by what we do, and we are known by what we accomplish, and we are known by a variety of things that we hold on to, that when they are now stripped off, where do we find our significance? We find ourselves isolated and alone. But loneliness does not mean meaninglessness. Because when He knows our name, we do not need to be afraid. Because when we are known, we don't need to fear the unknown. When we are known, we are never alone. You see, everyone today, and I appreciate the voices that are raising up, celebrities and leaders, people of profile, people in churches all around the world, are reminding us that there will be a better day, that we will get through this. That if we keep washing our hands and socially distancing and we stay home and we stay strong, we will overcome this. There will be a better day. And I appreciate those messages. But today, I want us to remember, as men and women of faith, that when we are known, we are never alone. And that means that He knows your name, Diane, Kaya, Jeremy, and Leah, and Caitlin, and Brendan, and Jenny, and Kyle, and Logan, and Deb, and Doug, and Bob, and Facita, and Garney, and Paul, and Karen, and Dave, and Sandy, and Josh, and Kay, and Matthew, and Camilla, and Levi, and Vita, and Livingston, and Jordan, and Katie, and Pace, and Eric, and Sandy, and Harry, and Al, and Jane. You're on our hearts right now. And Ted, and Nancy, and Maddie, and Dave, and Melanie, and Cliff, and Suzanne, and Nicole, and Christy, and Taylor, and Melanie, and Melissa, and Theo, and Milo, and Ren, and Heather, and Scott, and Nathan, Jackie, David, and Luke, John, and Connie, Bill, and Lizanne, and Adele, Karen, and Katie, and Lola, and Jenna, and Winnell, Paul, and Sandy, and Bill, and Lizanne, and Jeff, and Christina, and Michelle, and Mindy, and Grace, and Norm, and Barb, and Tim, and Elizabeth, and Lucas, and Alicia, and Joseph. He knows your name. Kayla, and Cecilia. What do we have in common with Lazarus, Ash? If He knows us, He knows our name, we don't need to be afraid. Because if we are known, we don't need to fear the unknown, do we, Erwin? as people of the resurrection, which we will celebrate next Sunday with all of the passion, even though I miss you. I miss seeing you. I'm going to miss having this room full of your smiles and your applause and your favor and your presence. As people of the resurrection, we are never alone because we are known. He knows my name. He knows my every thought. He sees each tear that falls and hears me when I call.
You know my name. You know my every thought. You see each tear that falls, and you hear me when I call. You know my name. You know my every thought. You see each tear that falls, and you hear me when I call. You know my name. You know my every thought. You see each tear that falls, and you hear me when I hurricane impossible. Wake up, waiting out. You just want to understand. Drifting through contracts. We've been in the fields. The current stealing all the past. Through the raging water and the rain, suffering wind, and this mess together. 'Cause you are not alone. You are not alone. Destruction is the offering. through the raging water and the rain, suffering with. Through the raging water and the rain, suffering with. And this mess together, 'cause you are not alone. You are not There's your song, Dave. We're not alone. What's up, Nate? Nate says, nailed it, boys.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, bro. Well, we're glad you guys are here. Glad we get to play for y'all this morning and connect with God with you guys. And feel free to just leave us on for a little while. Hang out with us. Turn my eyes upon you, Jesus. I look full in your wonderful face, and when the things over will grow strangely dim in the light of your glory and grace. Turn my eyes upon you, Jesus. I look full in your wonderful face. When the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of your glory and grace. We love you, Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one I'll look full in your wonderful face. The things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of your glory and grace. So Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one my heart adores. Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one my heart adores. Lord, make us aware that you're in each one of our homes today. Instead of being afraid of catching a virus we can't see, that we could be curious and mystified of experiencing you when we can't see you. Just visit us throughout this week. Remind us that you're here. Buenos dias, South America. What's up, Scott? What's up, Wes? Wes is wondering if you lost your tip to your drumstick.
I did.
You did?
That's a great observation.
You're right. How you guys doing out there? Anybody need some prayer? Anything you guys want us to pray for you for? Anything you are looking forward to? Some gratitude is always good. But whatever your struggle is, let us know. Type it up here, and we'd love to pray for you. Morning, Bob. Turn our fear into love. Turn my fear into love. Turn my fear into love. Turn my fear into praying for all the parents and the grandparents, all you guys who are staying away from family to be safe for you and safe for them, and the sacrifice that is. Lord, we ask that you be with each one of those that are doing that this week, these months, and that you replace that loneliness with a closeness that they've never experienced with you. Grandeur earth is quaked before, moved by the sound of your voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, 'cause it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this virus that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is love. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well, it is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and winds still know your name. I let go, my soul, and I trust in you. The waves and winds still know your name. The waves and winds still know your name. I will confess that I don't always feel this way. And I used to have a hard time really singing words that I didn't feel. Dave's convinced me there's some value to it. If for any other reason, knowing the direction we want to go, realizing that I have some sort of control over my perspective, over how I'm seeing this. May God flood your house with gratitude, with hopefulness, with deep connection with the tools that we have available to us. Him and with others, so that you can sing this and believe it. And that's our prayer, Lord, is that we can trust you, that we can believe that it is well. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well with my Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. 'Cause it is well with me. You guys have an awesome Sunday in your PJs. Call, FaceTime, text, message somebody you love. Go to riverbend.com, help, riverbend.com, give. Come see us all week on Riverbend's Facebook page. We'll see y'all next Sunday. In the light of your glory and grace, we love you, Jesus, we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the one. Oh, how we love you. You are the one. My eyes to you, Jesus. I'll look full in your wonderful face. The things of earth will grow straight.